This is IGN. Nintendo Switch 2 has sold 2 million units in the US. Welcome to your IGN Daily Update. But first, Sony has announced its PlayStation Plus monthly lineup of games for September 2025, which includes an Xbox-published title and a hugely popular farming sim. Further solidifying the friendship between Xbox and PlayStation, next month's list is headlined by Psychonauts 2, the platform adventure from Tim Schafer's Double Fine Studios, which is of course owned by Microsoft. This quirky sequel launched to positive reviews, and no, you don't need to have played the first one. Next up is Stardew Valley, the charming life and farming simulation which really doesn't need much of an introduction. If you don't yet own a copy or 3 of this beloved indie game, now's your chance to see what all the fuss is about. Just don't expect to do anything else for the next dozen hours as it gets its hooks into you. Finally this month, there's Viewfinder. A mix of photo mode and first-person puzzle game, this well-received indie first launched in 2023 and boggled all our brains with its perspective warping levels and extremely smart gameplay. All 3 games will be available to claim from September 2nd onwards, and as ever, you have just a couple of days left to add August's PlayStation Plus games to your library. Act now to nab Lies of P, DayZ, and My Hero 1's Justice 2 before they leave the subscription service on September 1st. The Nintendo Switch 2's second month on the market was another explosive one, at least in the US, where it surpassed 2 million units sold life to date, putting it 75% ahead of the unit sales pace set by the Nintendo Switch 1. This is according to monthly data from Circana, whose analysis was shared with IGN by Matt Piscatella. Nintendo Switch 2 sales in July were so strong that July hardware spending reached $384 million, the highest July hardware spend since July 2008. The Switch 2 was the best-selling console for the month of July and unshockingly is the best-selling console in the US year-to-date in terms of both unit and dollar sales, surpassing the PlayStation 5. The Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller is now the best-selling accessory of the year in both dollar and unit sales. Already last month, the Nintendo Switch 2 became the fastest-selling game console of all time in the US, surpassing the PlayStation 4. When we asked Piscatella at the time if that meant the Switch 2 could outsell the Switch 1, he offered a cautious take. What the launch sales of Switch 2 primarily tell us is that they made a lot of Switch 2s to sell at launch. Lifetime sales and launch sales of a console often do not correlate, meaning that some consoles with small launches ended up doing incredibly well lifetime. The PS2 only sold 400,000 in its launch month, while others with big launches ended up not doing as well lifetime. Since launch month demand is rarely satiated by available supply, and it is certainly not a great sign when it is historically, all we can really get a read on at launch is the confidence of the manufacturer to make so many units available, and the ability of the supply chain to get those units into the market. But having the biggest launch month sales for any new video game hardware platform is a hell of a good start. On the software charts, July was dominated by new releases. EA Sports College Football 26 debuted at number 1 for July and is already the 3rd best-selling game of the year so far in terms of dollar sales. The EA Sports MVP bundle, which includes both Madden NFL 26 and College Football 26, followed it at number 2 for July and number 12 for the year-to-date. Donkey Kong Bonanza debuted at number 3 for the month of July and number 20 for the year so far on Circana's rankings, despite Nintendo not sharing digital sales data. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 debuted at number 4 for the month of July. Xbox was also well represented again on July's monthly charts. Aside from Tony Hawk, Forza Horizon 5 once again made an appearance thanks to its PlayStation release, this time appearing at number 7. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 was at number 5, and Grounded 2 debuted at number 8. For Grounded 2, its appearance seems largely based on its PC release, as it was the best-selling PC game of the month in dollar sales. However, it's nowhere to be found on Xbox's console rankings, likely due to its Game Pass inclusion and more people choosing to use that subscription for the console version. Microsoft also published 4 of the top-selling games this month on both PC, with Grounded 2, Tony Hawk, Call of Duty, and Minecraft, and PlayStation, with Tony Hawk, Call of Duty, Forza, and Minecraft. Monster Hunter Wilds remains the best-selling game of the year so far, and is still followed by the Oblivion remaster. Overall, software spending was up 4% year-over-year to $4.5 billion, thanks to growth in both mobile and non-mobile subscriptions, offsetting a drop in console software spending. Total game spending for the month of July was up 5% year-over-year to $5.1 billion. That's your IGN Daily Update. My name is Tony Jackson, and if you want more news on your favorite games and entertainment topics, make sure to visit us at IGN.com. You can also download our free app on your phone or console and subscribe to our weekly podcast through the podcast service of your choice.
Spoken Layer.